here we are, and welcome to video 3, where it's all about the how, where we're going to be diving super deep together into exactly how you can be piecing all of this together to go about building your very own Titan toned body. Before we do this though, what we're going to do, let's just sort of stop things in the track just now for just a moment, and let's just acknowledge exactly where you're at and what is possible from what we've learnt together so far. So we've uncovered what can actually be possible through nailing your nutrition. How would you feel if your life, in terms of nutrition, if you just had it all down packed in terms of nutrition, you're not struggling about food, it's pretty much just become a lifestyle. You're at peace, there's no restrictions, there's no diets, there's no supplements going on. You pretty much just love food, you're enjoying it every single day and having so much more fun, and your relationship with it is just pure beauty. In terms of your workouts, you're absolutely smashing them. You're feeling at complete peace. You walk into the gym and you're just a boss, babe. You're feeling in control. You've got heads turning towards you and you're just enjoying your workouts so much more, and truly just feel like you're actually investing your time into them rather than just spending them there. How would you feel if your mindset, you're just feeling completely unstoppable every single day? The days are kicking off just absolutely amazing and you're finishing them going to bed satisfied. Your mindset is just right in check, you're feeling so much more in control, and you're able to respond to situations rather than actually react to them. This would be amazing, right? This is the bigger picture in terms of what's possible for anyone who is applying these things, but how would you feel? And this is where I want to share with you a cheeky little bonus that I've got. How would you feel if you could guarantee these results and get them without fail and get them there super quick? This is exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you later on at the end of this video, but before we get into that, let's just get stuck into the content. It's all about the how. I'm really excited to share these secrets with you. Let's get into it. So yesterday, what we focused on together was exactly what you need to go through in terms of how to go from a state where you're stuck in now, where you just don't want to be, or what we can call your before, in terms of moving into your after, in terms of just achieving that success and how to go towards achieving that Titan tone glory. So you remember that we actually focused on nutrition, training, and mindset. So what I want to do today is to go just hardcore on you guys, okay? We're going to break through exactly into the how. Okay, so we went into the what yesterday, we're going to be going into the how today, and I'm just really keen to just get stuck straight into this, but know that this is actually what clients pay me for, okay? So this is some seriously high valuable information which I want to make sure that you are just taking notes on and really just getting excited for how intense this is going to be. So in terms of going into depth of how nutrition will look to actually achieve your Titan tone body, is that we're going to be looking at what we call energy, and then we're going to call macros, okay? So when it comes to your body, did you know that it is consistently counting how much energy is coming into the system on a daily basis? Yes, your body is something which functions 24/7. So what this means is that while you're sleeping, your body is still recovering and it is still pumping blood and oxygen and nutrients around the system. So what this means is that in regard to what your goals are, your body requires a certain amount of energy or food or sustenance to get it towards ensuring that that happens. So when it comes to, I guess, here and manipulating that in terms of nutrition, we want to make sure that we're actually supplying our body with a certain amount of food so we can trigger fat loss to happen, so we can actually move towards a Titan toned body. So when it comes to actually, I guess, illustrating to you guys what I mean by this, is that we're going to have what we call the energy seesaw, okay? So we'll have here, right at the top, so we're going to have a seesaw that looks like this, and we're going to have a seesaw that looks like this, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about energy in versus energy out. So we'll say in, out. So if you've got a lesser amount of energy in compared to a larger amount of energy that's being sort of expelled through exercise, well then what that means is that that's where the fat loss or weight loss will happen, okay? But if you are in a stage where your energy out, okay, is lower, so we'll say out here, compared to your energy that's in, which is greater, this is where weight gain will happen, okay? So fat loss, weight gain. We want to make sure that we're nailing this, okay? So in terms of that, this is where we then move into the macro side of things, okay? So ideally for macros, what this refers to is your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fat. We also have what we call the micro side of things, which refers to the actual phytonutrients and micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, that sort of stuff, which is contained within the actual food that you eat. So we want to make sure that when it comes to the macronutrients that we have a good sort of balance between all of them, being protein, carbs and fat, so that we can make sure that we're able to have a better or functional relationship with food and therefore flow more freely towards actually achieving fat loss through the food choices that you make, okay? So if we have what we call protein, we have what we call carbs, and we have what we call fat, we want to make sure that we're at a complete ratio here, okay? So we want to make sure that we've got about 30%, 40%, 30%, okay? We add all these things up, this is where we have 100%, okay? So through protein, 30% of your overall intake coming from protein. When it comes to carbohydrates, 40% roughly, and then fat, 30% roughly, okay? Easy as that. So it's a shift of a focus, I guess, from, at the moment, you're obviously focusing on what you're eating, so what's going in. You know that you're having a good mix of whole foods and just sort of nutrient-dense food choices. So here it's a sort of shift in regards to the how much is going in. You're focusing on making sure that your energy in, okay, so your intake of food is a bit less compared to your energy that's going out to make sure you're actually achieving what we call an energy deficit, okay? If you're at the other end of things where you're going to be gaining weight, this is through something that's called an energy surplus, which is where the excess energy you're taking in is actually causing the body to store the excess energy as fat tissue, which is obviously not what we want. Now, when it comes to the mindset side of things, we want to make sure that for us to go in terms of the how, so that we can achieve kick-ass fat loss results, we need to make sure that we are in a state of just complete and utter certainty that we are worthy of success and that you can do it, and that you are, I guess, a lady who is absolutely beautiful and is worthy of that happiness, okay? So this is something which I actually teach my ladies when I work with them personal. It's something that is called power statements and affirmations, okay? So power statements and then affirmations. Okay? So the reason for this is that through power statements and affirmations, you're actually drilling into your subconscious mind that you are someone who is worthy of success and that how you are is not how you're going to stay. And what happens is that obviously when we go through life, there's a lot of negativity that can come in. There's a lot of things which can just throw us off track. It can cause us to sort of feel, sort of disheartened sometimes maybe. It can cause us to actually feel like we might not be able to actually achieve what we want. So we want to make sure that through actually practicing power statements and affirmations that we're getting ourselves into our peak state. Remember how we talked about that before in our last video? We want to make sure that every single day we are in our peak state. So the reason for this is that if we look at the very beginning, okay, so everything comes from what we call a thought. So we've got our thoughts at the top. So what we think about, this will shape our beliefs or values. Okay, and then what's going to happen is that this will obviously implement and affect our actual decisions, okay, or actions. And then based on those decisions or actions, this is where we get what we call our outcome, okay? So think about it, okay? Do a bit of self-analysis. If you're in a negative state and that you don't have that certainty or that complete direction or clarification or just complete and utter, I guess, tunnel vision as to how you're going to move forward towards your results, this would then mean that you're going to have, I guess, in a negative state, okay? You're going to be in a negative perspective. And what that would mean is you're going to be limited. Yeah, you're not going to be thinking in your best self or in your peak self sort of state of mind, which would then mean that your decisions or the actions that you take are going to be negative as well, yeah? What we're going to be seeing here is things like where binge eating comes in, or where you just sort of just have that mindset that, or it's just going to be negative, okay? You're not going to be doing the things that you know that you should be doing, and you're just going to be in that cycle of sort of stuck. So it's negative, negative, and then because we've had that negativity right from the core, it would then mean that our outcome equals negative as well. So we're moving forwards into a place where we do not want to be. We are not achieving that happiness, and we are not in our peak state, and we are not able to operate at our best on that day-to-day basis. So to flip this around and to make sure that we're actually operating from our best self and that we're achieving the positive outcomes that we want, we want to make sure that right at the very beginning, our beliefs and our thought process is positive, okay? It's in a state of gratitude, because when we're in a state of positivity and a state of gratitude, fear cannot exist, okay? Because fear, as we know, is just false evidence appearing real, okay? So from there, if we've got that positive core, what's going to then happen is that the decisions and actions that we take will become positive as well, okay? Because we're in just that complete boss mode, we've got that certainty, we feel like an absolute ninja, we are therefore going to be making amazing decisions. We're going to be prepping our meals most likely. We're going to be nailing our workouts. We're going to be not letting little things that we hear on the news or that we hear people say about us, or on the social media or on Facebook, whatever, get in our way. We are in a peak state because we practice our power statements and affirmations, and we have that complete certainty that who we are is just above the sort of negativity which we're seeing floating around us. So that therefore means that our decisions are going to be positive as well. So we have a big P, meaning that our outcome is going to be exactly sort of what we want. So if we have this focus on a daily basis, what that then means is that we are in some way, shape or form able to become better than who we were yesterday, okay? And when this is our focus, it then means that you're in a complete and utter journey of progressing, okay? So by that we mean that we're continuously able to take effective action when we're in this sort of state of mind. And what will happen then is it'll mean that we're able to actually move forward properly, get the results that we want, and therefore our vision will become our reality. Now when it comes to our workouts, okay, we're moving into the last section now, how we want this to look, okay? So we'll have workouts as our next key, so we'll have W, okay? So this is all about keys, our 3 keys towards making it happen. Before we talked about the what, this is us nailing out exactly how it's going to happen. So when it comes to workouts, there's a few key things you want to be focusing on to make sure that we're getting the absolute most from the time that we're putting into our workouts. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on compound, okay? So by this, what we mean by compound exercise is that, so this is all in reference to weight training, okay? Because when it comes to weight training, know that it is exactly what stimulates the most muscle fibers and wear and tear to enable your body to progress properly and to give it every single reason to keep a hold of the muscle that you've got and to enable it to give the body every reason to stay there, yeah? Because remember also that if we're getting our energy in versus energy out sort of wrong and stuff, we can obviously be gaining weight as one of the side effects. Or what can happen is that we can actually be losing muscle, okay? So we want to make sure we're getting that right, but in relation to that, when it comes to our workouts, we want to make sure that we're looking after our muscles and that we give them every single reason to be able to shape and to tone how we want them to. So with a compound lift, for example, what happens here is that you're actually stimulating a load of muscle fibers every single rep, as opposed to just doing, say, some cardio on the treadmill or some really nice lightweight bicep curls, for example, or something like that. So by doing compound lifts, what happens here is that you're recruiting a lot of muscle fibers per rep. Okay, so a rep meaning a repetition. And then what that means is that because you're actually causing so much just stimulation within those muscle fibers, it will then mean that your body is in sort of just like, not destruct mode, but it's kind of just, whoa, because that's happened, okay? So that means that as you finished up your session, it then means that the body is trying to recuperate and repair from everything that's happened within that session. And this is what we call the EPOC effect, meaning excessive post-oxygen consumption. So therefore, you're actually going to be boosting your metabolic rate, which means that you're burning a lot of calories pretty much while you're chilling out. So compound lifts, things like squats, things like deadlifts, bent over rows, great one for your back. Chest press for your chest, shoulder press. And the last one we could have, say, kettlebell swings, for example, okay? So all the ones which stimulate a lot of muscle fibers per repetition, okay? So compound being one of them. Next one being in terms of workouts and piecing this all together, we want to make sure that we're having a good sort of duration in terms of our workouts, okay? So we'll call this time. So we want to make sure that when it comes to an effective workout, we want to make sure that we're actually giving the body, we don't want to work out too long and we don't want to work out too short. So the sweet spot, which I've found, is 45 minutes, okay? And then max being 60, okay? Because what happens is that when we sort of train beyond that and sort of just keep mucking around or whatever it is that we're doing, we're actually doing our body a bit of a disservice. So here is where we want to make sure that we're actually maximizing our time in the gym and making sure that we're not just there to muck around. So there's a big difference between spending your time in the gym and investing your time in the gym. So through having compound lifts, this will make up what we call the actual start of the workout, okay? So have about maybe 2 or 3 or maximum 4 exercises where you're doing compound exercises, and the rest of them can come from sort of isolated movements like bicep curls, lat pull downs, sort of bent over rows with some dumbbells maybe. There's lots of things you can go about it, but compound lifts need to sort of be your key focus to start off the workout. Time overall about 45 minutes to 60 minutes to really make sure that you're showing your muscles as much love as possible within a short period of time. And then when it comes to the actual frequency, so we'll say this frec, we want to make sure that we're doing it probably about 3 to 5 times per week, okay? So obviously if you're someone who's a bit more elite and you've been training for a long time, you could probably increase that up and have what we call a bit more of an adjusted training split, because what this will mean is that you're then able to effectively isolate a bit better how you're actually hitting the muscle fibers across the actual span of the week. So you want to make sure that you're actually hitting your upper body, your lower body, and you're not just sort of isolating just one part and forgetting the rest. Reason being there is that it will mean that you're going to have lagging body parts, you're going to look sort of out of proportion, and definitely not going to look tight and toned and sexy. So through piecing these 3 things together, this is exactly how you can nail workouts. And know that you'll see here that I haven't actually got cardio included anywhere. So this means, in relevant to what we said before in the what video, cardio isn't included in here because cardio doesn't actually stimulate many muscle fibers compared to weight training, okay? When it comes to actually cardio training, yes, you're going to be burning a bunch of calories in the session, which is pretty cool, but the downside here is that when it comes to cardio, the more and more that you do it, the less and less and less calories or energy that your body's going to burn from doing that same activity. And pretty much what this then means is that you're digging yourself into a bit of a hole in terms of how much time your body is actually requiring to actually do the workouts. So what I mean by that is basically, let's say for example that you're starting out, that you have been doing cardio for a while so far. This means that the only way that you can keep getting results from the cardio that you're doing is that you're going to either have to add in some extra sessions maybe. So if you're currently doing 3, you're going to have to do 4 or 5, or you're going to be increasing the duration for how long that they last, so which pretty much means it's eating into your time. This isn't what we want. We want to make sure that we're excluding things that don't matter, and that we're really just putting our focus towards the things that do matter. So we can see here that when it comes to nutrition, we're focusing on energy in versus energy out. We're focusing on making sure that we have that clear macronutrient ratio, making sure that we're getting in protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Know that you don't have to really muck around and focus too much about cutting out sugar or any of those sort of things, unless of course you're gluten intolerant, for example, or that you just can't handle lactose. By all means, go for gold if that describes you. When it comes to mindset, remember that we want to make sure that every single day we are operating at our best self and making sure that we're not letting piss weak little things get in the way, okay? Because as soon as you're letting the worst version of yourself come out and actually be the person that's actually functioning across the day, this is then when you're not going to be able to make the best decisions possible. You're going to be limited and you're not going to be able to function at your best self. And then what you're going to experience is some massive mindset shifts, and just notice that the little things that happen within during your day, they're not going to affect you as much. You're going to be able to respond to your situations. You're not going to be reacting to them. You're going to feel so much more in control and so much more in a state of just having that clear direction and knowing exactly where to go. And then when it comes to workouts, as we sort of said before, it's making sure that you're investing your time into those workouts and not just sort of spending them going willy-nilly, okay? Things like group classes and whatever, all well and good. Are they going to help you to get results? Probably not, because it doesn't enable you to actually function and flow properly. So there it is. You guys have learned exactly how to go about building your very own tight and toned body. You remember that at the beginning I hinted about a nice little sneaky bonus, and this is about how you can go about achieving your very own tight and toned body for free. So this next video that's coming up is all about the revealer, where I want to share with you exactly what this is all about, what's involved, and how you can achieve results without fail. So click below. I'll see you in the next video.